What's up guys, welcome to the Momentum Trading Lab. I'm your host Renier. If you haven't already, please consider hitting that like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Okay guys, so just before I start going through the analysis, so this obviously used to be a crypto trading analysis channel, but I've been trading the Nasdaq and ES futures for the past 3 to 4 months, and it's been really great. I've also started trading for a prop firm called Bullion-X, and I'm currently managing a couple of $100,000 in capital for them, and it's really changed my life and my trading game a lot. So that's why I'm now transitioning the stream into Nasdaq and ES, because I'm obviously not trading crypto that much anymore. But I'll probably still do a crypto related stream once a week, going through some altcoins and stuff and a little bit of Bitcoin. But the daily live stream will be on the Nasdaq and ES futures every weekday, and then maybe on a Friday we'll do a crypto altcoin stream. All right, with that being said, let's get into the TA. Okay, so on NQ, we're going to start with the daily chart. And the thing that has my interest is this low right here. So let's put a line on that low. So this is where we can expect the sell side liquidity to reside. And as you can see, we started digging into this area. And then also if we pull our Fibonacci from this low to the high, let's just move this to the side a little bit. You'll see that we are still holding the 0.79 level, and today we came down and we took out the previous day low, which was on Friday. So more sell side liquidity below this level. So in the beginning of the day we went down, took out this sell side liquidity, and then started to move to the upside. So the other level that we want to take note of is the previous day high. So there's going to be buy side liquidity that they could go and attack above there. So let's mark that out. I'm just going to remove that fib. We know it is holding that level. And let's mark this as this was the previous day low. And this is our sell side liquidity level that we already took out. Right, so to me, the daily chart, considering that we took out the sell side liquidity and now we also took out the previous day low, and it looks like we are getting a reaction from this level. It looks like the daily chart wants to move to the upside for a little bit. Also, if you look at the momentum master indicator, the Williams is starting to reset with the stochastics RSI. The last time we had that was right here, and this was right before this nice run up that we had. So that's something to take note of. And then if we look to the upside a little bit, we have this volume imbalance right there. So they might want to go and take out the buy side liquidity above this high, and then go and close the volume imbalance that we have here, and then potentially take out the external buy side liquidity right there before we have another bigger leg to the downside. So for right now, the daily chart is conveying a bit of a move to the upside. So to me, the draw on liquidity on the daily chart is definitely going to be the fact that we have this volume imbalance, and then the buy side liquidity residing above this high and that high right there. Right, so that's the daily chart. So let's move down to the 4-hour. So here on the 4-hour, you can see we came down, took out the sell side liquidity, and now we are seeing a bit of displacement to the upside. Also, if we look at the market structure, we had a series of lower highs. Basically we had a lower high right there, right there, right there. Then this was a bit of a liquidity sweep. So we know that it's a liquidity sweep because it did not displace above that high. It only tapped it and then price dumped to the downside. And then right here, this was the last lower high. So on a 4-hour chart, we are starting to see a market structure shift. So let's see if so we need this 4-hour candle to close above this high, and then get another one to close so that we can confirm the displacement, or maybe look something like this. And that will be a very bullish indication. So then if we get a retrace into that area, then we could be looking for longs on a shorter term time frame. Okay, so 4-hour got the market structure shift. The liquidity, let's quickly remove that. I'm also just going to mark off this level as buy side liquidity. So right now the next area of liquidity is the previous day high that we discussed on the daily chart. So it looks like it is trying to move towards that area. So we look at the 1-hour chart. Okay, so here you can see the liquidity grab a bit better. So we had the low right there. This was the low on Friday during the New York morning session. Then on Sunday they took out this, and then on the 1-hour chart we also have a market structure shift. This came down, and now we are getting the displacement right there. This has a confirmed fair value gap, and we came above the high. You're not seeing a very strong reaction to the downside. If we had that strong reaction, that could have been these bigger money players absorbing all of the buy stops above this high, but we are not getting it. We are just kind of seeing a bit of a consolidation. So we can use our Fibonacci tool, pull it from the low to the high. So on the 1-hour, it would be nice if we can get a bit of a retracement towards the discount area, and then look for longs on the lower term time frames, and then we can play it back potentially to the previous day high. So that's a possible projection on the 1-hour chart. The momentum master B indicator is also starting to get a bit overbought, which could be an indication that we could see that retrace into the discount area, rebalance this fair value gap, and then see another leg to the upside towards the previous day high, which is at 15,266. So we look at the 15-minute. Okay, so on the 15-minute, I'm just gonna remove this. So let's mark off the imbalances. This is gonna be our fair value gap on the 15-minute. Make that blue. And then we have another one right there. Okay, so right here, this was the buy side liquidity level. So we are currently in the New York lunchtime. Quickly mark this off as buy side liquidity. So during the morning we had the move to the upside, and then normally during the lunchtime hour it retraces a little bit in the opposite direction. So this went up, so now we could be expecting a little bit of a retrace during the lunchtime. You can also see it's starting to wick right here. So let's quickly go to the 15-minute. So we had the high, came down, failed to displace above this high, made a lower high. So I'm going to be looking at this low right here. So if we displace below this low right here, then we have a possible short scalp that we can look at. Let's mark that as market structure shift. Gonna remove this one for now, and then I just want to quickly go back to the 15 just to get a fib on this impulse move to the upside. Right, so then we have this fair value gap right below the equilibrium. So this could be an area to long from in the PM session, which starts in 45 minutes. So let's go back to the 5-minute. So if we get displacement below this low, what I mean by that is if we take out this low, we want to see a fair value gap print, and I'm looking at the 5-minute for this to happen. So if we break down, we get the fair value gap. We also want to be pulling our Fibonacci from the high to the low, and then what I like to do is I want to see this fair value gap in the premium area. If it's not in the premium area, meaning it's below the equilibrium, then I will enter right on the equilibrium. But it's important that we have the displacement. That's kind of the smart money footprint, indicating to us that a larger player has basically bought up these buy stops above this high, and now we are going to see lower prices. So this is just another confirmation of that. So if price breaks down, we get the fair value gap, we retrace. You can enter in the fair value gap or right on the equilibrium. Let's quickly remove this. So then my target for that will be is basically this fair value gap, and then we have a low right there. So we can mark this off as sell side liquidity. Yeah, so our sell side is going to be right there. And then right at the sell side liquidity level, we have the negative 0.62 level. So I'm going to be, if we get this set up, my first TP is going to be right here at the negative 27 fib level. And then the next one will be right here at the sell side liquidity, which is also in alignment with that fib level right there. And then do we have any? We have that little fair value gap, but we are expecting price action to displace past that level and then come back into this one. We enter our short positions, stop loss exactly at that high right there. So it will likely look something like this. And so we enter at the equilibrium around there. Then that is about 58 points to TP1 and 77 points to TP2 right at the sell side liquidity. So that is what I am looking for a possible scalp during the lunchtime session. And then what I'm expecting for the PM session is a possible bounce off this fair value gap. Get the fib again right there, because this fair value gap is right here in the discount area. And I'll also be monitoring the 618. This is just rounded off for a potential bounce. So what I want to see is a move into this area. I'm gonna go to the 5-minute. I'm gonna go to the 5-minute. I'm gonna look for displacement right here, and then I will enter right in that fair value gap. And then TP1 will be right at these highs. So we have the relative equal highs right there. So we can assume that the algorithm is going to attack the liquidity above these highs. So TP1 will be right there. And then my last TP will be right here at the previous day high. So normally price action does also like to reverse from the, these levels, the previous day high. So we can potentially short from here, then long from this area, provided that we do get the displacement, then ride it up towards the previous day high. So that will be about 130 points towards the previous day high. And then if we get the displacement from to the downside from this high, then we can look for another short position. So that's what I'm looking at right now for the lunchtime hour. And then for the I'm expecting this kind of to play out during the afternoon session. A move down into this area, displacement hopefully on the 5-minute, then we can enter on that fair value gap and run it towards the previous day high. Alright, so that's what my analysis for the Nasdaq. Also have a look at ES. Okay, so we're also gonna start on the daily chart. Okay, so interesting thing is, if we go back to, we are seeing a bit of a SMT divergence, right? So we have a low right here and a lower low. But then if we go to ES, we have a low and a higher low. So that is a SMT divergence, a bullish SMT divergence. On NQ, we took out the sell side liquidity below this low. On ES, we did not take out the low, but we do have the SMT divergence. So this is also kind of telling us that ES is looking a little bit stronger than NQ. It didn't want to go below this low. It basically only came down towards this fair value gap. So it closed these gaps right here. And the algorithm will basically only move towards liquidity and imbalances. So we can see it came and closed this imbalance, and NQ took out the liquidity, and now it looks ready to reverse back to the upside. So ES is looking a little bit stronger than the Nasdaq in my opinion. And then if we look to do our top down analysis, we will see that we have this volume imbalance right there, and then we have these highs right here. So that is going to be our buy stop liquidity. So people that went short, they will look at these highs as good places to put their stop losses. So there's going to be a bunch of liquidity built up above these highs. That's going to be our buy side. Let's label this. So this is a volume imbalance. And this is our fair value gap on the daily. You see how see the difference between ES and the Nasdaq. So Nasdaq took out the previous day low that was formed on Friday, but ES was not willing to do that. It just looks like it wants to move to the upside. So ES is definitely looking very strong in my opinion. Let's also get a fib on this, so from the low to the high. Right, so this one came towards the Fibonacci 786. Didn't close below the OTE at 706, so that is a bullish signal as well. And then, like we said on NQ as well, the Williams is resetting with the stochastics. And let's see when the last time, basically the last time when we had the stochastics and the Williams oversold, we had this nice run up on ES as well as on the Nasdaq. So ES, same as NQ, it looks like the draw on liquidity is to the upside. We have the liquidity right here at 4,544. Next one is at 4,560. Then we have the imbalance right here, which starts at 4,580. It ends at 4,598. And then we also obviously have buy side above these highs, but that's still a far way away. So we're just focusing on these levels for now. And then let's also mark off the sell side that we still have untouched below the low on Friday. Alright, so I think we're ready to go to the 4 hour. Okay, so on the 4 hour, there's not really any imbalances to take note of right here. Let's go to the 1 hour. Okay, so on the 1 hour, we have fair value gap right there. And then we have a fresh fair value gap right here. So So it's showing that displacement, it's showing that bullish order flow. So I would say the first kind of draw on liquidity on the 1 hour is this fair value gap. And because the order flow is bullish, we could maybe expect that this will be an inversion fair value gap, meaning price action will push through this, trade in it for a bit, push to the upside, and then kind of test this as a support before it goes up and takes out the buy side liquidity at 4,544. Right, so let's mark off the short-term liquidity pools. The sell side is right here at 4,470, and our short-term buy side is right at 4,503. Go to the 15. Okay, so on ES, it's starting to move below this low. So if we can see a nice bit more of an energetic move to the downside below this low, then we can assume this to be a market structure shift and not a short-term liquidity grab before it moves back to the upside. So like I mentioned on NQ, okay, so now we're starting to displace below that low. Okay, so this is our market structure shift happening right now. So normally what happens, a lot of the time in my experience, if you get a move to the upside during the New York morning session, then it retraces a little bit during the lunchtime, and then during the PM session we should see a bit of a continuation back to the upside. All right, so let's go to the 5 minute. So we have a fair value gap right there. Right, and the fair value gap is right at the equilibrium. And we also have the Fibonacci 618 right above that fair value gap. So you can potentially, like we mentioned in the beginning of the stream, enter in this fair value gap. Then first target is going to be the negative 0.27 fib level. Next target is going to be the sell side liquidity below this low at 15,138. Starting to move down. I'm just going to quickly put an alert right here. I just wanted to see when we get back if I should potentially enter this trade. I'm just going to put a line there, put an alert on that. If it gets into this area, it will alert me. I'm going to move it down slightly. Okay, let's continue the analysis on ES. You can see, so on NQ, the move down looks a little bit stronger than on ES. I'm going to be keeping a close eye on ES. So you can see on ES, it's not displacing with a strong move below this low yet. So this could be, if we don't get the displacement here, this could just be a short-term liquidity grab of the sell side liquidity. And then we could see the displacement above this high. And if that happens and we get a bullish fair value gap, then we can enter on that. Go long and run it to the next buy side liquidity level at 4,544. You see, it's not getting that energetic move below the low. This could just be a grab or a purge of the sell side liquidity below this low. So the next step would be is we just wait and see if we get displacement above this high with a fair value gap. That's what tells us that it has displacement. If you see that nice fair value gap similar to what we have right here, then we can pull our fib, and if that fair value gap is in the discount area, then we can go long on that fair value gap. And then the next logical area to take profit will be the buy side right there. All right, that is my analysis for Nasdaq and ES for today. Just before I sign off, so if you want to learn how to trade, or you want to learn smart money concepts or ICT concepts, you can go to my website. There's more information in the description. So what I teach is smart money concepts or ICT concepts, which includes but is not limited to market structure, fair value gaps, order blocks, optimal trade entry, liquidity, time and price theory, daily bias, and scalping. Then I also teach the momentum master indicator. So I have a swing trading and a scalping strategy, and then also how to use volume or cumulative volume delta and open interest, risk management, and Fibonacci. And then you can join our free Discord. The link is in the description. And if you want to get the momentum master indicator, we have a 20% discount if you use my link and coupon code. All right, guys, thank you very much for tuning in today. I will be back tomorrow at around the same time, and I will keep you guys posted in the Discord. And yes, until the next one, thank you very much.